Hello my dear students, welcome back to the class. So let's continue with the chapter. So in the previous class I taught you right to equality and right to freedom. So right to equality is mentioned down in article number 14 to 18 that we have already done in the previous class. So those who have not watched the previous video, please do watch it. It is shared in the description box of this video, okay, so that it will be easy for you to understand the beginning of fundamental rights with the continuity of this chapter. So let's begin with the remaining part of the fundamental rights. So once again, what is meant by fundamental rights? Fundamental rights are the basic rights given to the citizen through the constitution, okay, for the fullest development of human personality. So these are the basic rights given to each and every citizens of the countries of citizens of different countries of the world, okay. So now let's start with the leftover of right to freedom. Just I'll recapitulate and then we'll continue with another articles of the next right. So in the right to freedom, we last time discussed about certain freedoms were given in article number 19. So article number 19 deals with fundamental freedoms of the citizens like freedom of speech and expression, freedom of peaceful assembly without arms. You can assemble peacefully without arms for the good cause. The next one is freedom to form association. Any sort of associations you can form it. Then freedom of movement. That means being the citizen of the country, you are free to move anywhere in the country. You don't require any passport or visa to move in any part of this country. So next one is freedom to reside and settle in any parts of India. That means you have the right, you have been given the right to settle and reside in any parts of the country India. The next one is freedom of profession. You have the freedom to choose the profession of your choice, occupation of your choice, and trade or business whichever you like, okay. But all these freedoms like right to equality, okay, from article number 14 to 18, as well as right to freedom from article number 19 to 23, all these are not at all absolute. It is not absolute. Whenever required, all these rights can be suspended, okay. It is reasonable. Certain limitations are imposed upon these rights, okay. So these freedoms can be used without involving any violation of public order. That means if you are using these rights without any violation, without harming any other fundamental right, then you are free to use it. But if it infringes the fundamental right of others, then it can be taken away from you. Suppose for example, if you murder, if you go against the constitution, your fundamental rights will be taken away. You will be put behind the bars, okay. So all this we have discussed in the previous class. So next one is the same right to freedom, article number 20. What is mentioned in article number 20? Protection against arbitrary conviction. Arbitrary conviction. That means if you are convicted, if you are arrested, or you are to be punished, so there are certain conditions. You will be punished only when you are found breaching the law of the country. If a person is found going against the constitution, or if he is found breaching the law of the country, then he will be punished, okay. Then no person can be subjected to a punishment greater than one prescribed by the law. Whatever punishments are prescribed by the law, beyond that you cannot be punished. What is the crime? According to your crime you will be punished, and the punishment is already given there, written over there. You will be punished according to the written law. So you cannot be punished beyond that. Next one is that for one crime, for committing one crime, one punishment can be given. That means you cannot be given two punishment for the same crime, okay. No one can be punished twice for the same offense. So once you have committed a crime, you will be punished once for that, okay. The next one is no person accused of any offense. No person accused of any offense, a crime, can be forced to give evidence against him. Suppose for example, I have committed a crime, or you have committed a crime. I cannot force you to be the evidence. You cannot be forced to give evidence of your own crime. So somebody else should be the witness to prove your crime, okay. So no person accused of any offense can be forced to give evidence against himself. I cannot give evidence against myself that I have done or I have not committed a crime, okay. So that is mentioned in article number 20 in right to freedom. So these are the freedoms granted in article number 20. Now what is mentioned in article number 21 of right to freedom? Right to freedom. So it is mentioned protection of life and liberty. Protection of life and liberty. So this article grants permission to the life and liberty of citizens as well as non-citizens. Even the citizen as well as non-citizen of the country are granted protection of life and property. Okay, they are being protected. Their life and liberty is protected by article number 21. Okay, so no person can be deprived of his life and liberty except according to the procedure established by the law. Certain establishment is there which if it prohibits, then only your this right can be taken away from you. Okay, so article number 21, protection of life and liberty, and it is a duty of the country or the state government to protect the life and liberty of the individual. Okay, now article number 21, again it is divided in subpart C1. C1, it is mentioned right to education for children. So right to education of children was mentioned in directive principles of state policy. Now it has been removed from there and is not removed, it's still there, but that right to education has been given importance in the fundamental rights. So now the right to education has become the fundamental right of every child below the age, okay, between the age of 6 to 14. Below the age of 14, they have been given the fundamental right, that is right to education. So in simple word, every child below the age of 14, they are given the right to education. Okay, and this right has been granted by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Through the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, this right has been granted to the childrens. Okay, so for that certain procedures are been maintained that each and every child of the country, they should be or are given a right to freedom of education, that is free and compulsory education has been given through Right to Education Act 2002. Okay, Right to Education Act 2002. So this has been made mandatory that each and every child, they must be given free and compulsory education. So what is the meaning of free and compulsory? Free means it should be free of cost, no charge. Okay, it should be free of cost. They won't be charged any fee for books and for midday meals and all. Okay, midday meals also was introduced that time only. And compulsory means it is compulsory for each and every parents to send their children to school, and secondly it is compulsory for each and every teacher to teach that child. It is their duty to teach that child. Okay, so that is all about free and compulsory education below the age of 14. Okay, between 6 to 14. So that has been given, that has been included in the fundamental right to education. The next one is article number 22. Article number 22, it talks about protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. Suppose for example you are arrested. Okay, so in certain condition, do you have any freedom? It doesn't mean that once you are arrested means you will put behind the bars and you have nothing left to save yourself. So certain things are mentioned. Any person arrested by the police enjoys certain protection. Number one, he or she has the right to be informed about the ground of his arrest. Why he or she is arrested, he definitely need to know. Okay, definitely he need to know why he or she is arrested, on what ground he or she is been arrested. He or she has the right to know about it, why I am being arrested. Okay, the next one is he has the right to consult a lawyer. He or she has the right to consult a lawyer. Arrest is okay, police has done its work. Now definitely the procedure, the trial will take place in the court, and for that one lawyer is required, and that freedom is given to the person who is been arrested to defend himself. Okay, he can try his best to prove himself guilty, and for that lawyer is required. Okay, and he has the right to consult his lawyer. Okay, now suppose for example if people cannot afford to hire a lawyer, then definitely then the government prosecutor will be there to fight his case in the court. Government will provide a lawyer from the government who is also known as a public prosecutor to present his case and to protect him or defend him. Okay, next one is once a person is arrested, very important to know, my dear. A person if he or she is arrested, within 24 hours, 24 hours is arrest, he or she must be produced before the magistrate. He or she must be produced before the magistrate, so that case can be filed and then proper procedure can be followed. Okay, suppose for example a person is arrested, so within 24 hours that person must be presented, okay, must be produced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours. Okay, so no need to worry about all this. Okay, but these freedoms are given to the citizens only. These freedoms are not given to an enemy or a foreigner. Okay, or if a person is arrested under any law providing for preventive detention, then this is not at all applicable for that. So what is meant by detention, preventive detention? Before committing a crime, if a person is detained, that is known as preventive detention. That means in order to prevent the person from committing a crime, that is known as preventive detention. Suppose for example information came to the police that a person is going to blast, is going to put a bomb in the mall and all. So he had not committed that, he had not planted the bomb also, but his intention has been known to the police. So before he commits any crime or plants the bomb, the person can be arrested and will be kept in detention. He had not committed a crime, but in order to prevent him from committing a crime, he has been detained. Okay, that is there. So all this I told you, the freedoms when you are arrested, these freedoms will be given to the citizen of the country, but these freedoms cannot be given to the alien. Okay, so this is all about mentioned in article number 22. Okay, protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. Now next one, let us talk about right against exploitation, which is mentioned in article number 23 and 24. So what is all about article number 23 and 24? So first of all, article number 23, prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. Human beings are forced to do labor, and human trafficking, that means for illicit purposes. Okay, they are kidnapped and they are sold to other states and all. So for other immoral works and all. For that this prohibition is already mentioned that these things should be stopped. So this right prohibits the sale and purchase of human beings. Human beings cannot be purchased and sold. Okay, it goes on in our country that people are sold for immoral purposes. Okay, and they earn lots of money by doing this illegal business and all. So this is prohibited. The sale and purchase of human beings are prohibited as per the article number 23, and nobody is forced to beg. It also prohibits beggar or forced labor. Nobody can be forced to do against their will. You cannot force somebody to work against their will. So if you force them, means you are forcing them. So this goes against his right. Okay, so prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, article number 23. Now next one is prohibition of employment of children. Small children should be prohibited from working in hazardous jobs like factories and mines. So mostly we have seen in the past that small children are forced to work in factory or mines. Okay, definitely those factories are not good for their health. Also, it is very, very harmful for the young lungs and liver of the small kids and all. But due to poverty, mostly the children are forced to work in coal mines and factories. So in order to avoid that, prohibition of employment, children should not be employed. Children should not be employed in doing work in factories and mines. Okay, which is very, very injurious for their health. Hazardous work, which spoils their internal organs. So this is mentioned in article number 23. Okay, and article number 24. Now next one is right to freedom of religion. So right to freedom of religion is mentioned down in article number 25 to 28. Okay, 25, 26, 27, 28, 4. So now we need to go through it. Right to freedom of religion. So already we have discussed right to freedom. So within the right to freedom, we have certain freedoms. Now let me tell you, Certain freedoms like freedom of speech and expression, freedom to move anywhere in the country, freedom to reside and settle in any parts of the country, freedom of profession, occupation, trade or business. So I'm not talking about that. So particularly this is only for religion, freedom of religion. So what type of freedom is been granted in the freedom of religion? So article number 25. So article number 25 allows the people to profess and practice and propagate the religion of their choice. That means all person can enjoy the freedom of conscience. They have the right to profess, practice, propagate any religion, whichever religion they want, they have the right to do so. Nobody can force them to follow against their will or force them to come out of their existing religion. Forceful conversion stands prohibited. So that is very much clear, my dear. Forceful conversion is not at all allowed in this country. If you are willingly trying to change your religion, that is something different. But if forcefully somebody is forcing you to convert yourself to other religion, that is not at all allowed. It is completely prohibited. Okay? No one can be forced to adopt or leave his religion. Nobody can be forced to adopt and leave his own religion. Okay? That is article number 25. That means full freedom to profess, practice and propagate the religion of your choice. Okay? Now next one is article number 26. It also comes under right to freedom of religion. So article number 26, that is freedom to manage religious affairs. Freedom to manage religious affairs. So what type of religious affairs? Like to establish and maintain religious institution, to manage its own affairs, to own and acquire movable and immovable property, then to administer its property in accordance with the law. In accordance with the law, they can administer its property. That freedom is given. Okay, article number 26. Now article number 27. In this article, freedom is given. Freedom from paying taxes for the promotion of any religion. For promoting any religion, taxes cannot be imposed. Okay, freedom from paying taxes for the promotion of religion. No person can be compelled means forced, to pay any tax or fee for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion. Taxes cannot be imposed. Okay, so that is clear in article number 27. No person can be compelled to pay any tax or fee for the maintenance and the promotion of any particular religion. That is mentioned in article number 27. Okay, so 25, 26, 27. Now article number 28 under right to freedom of religion. So what it is? Freedom to attain or abstain from religious functions and religious education in any educational institution. So what type of freedom is given? What type of freedom is given? So one thing we need to understand that in any of the institutions, okay, in any of the institution, no students can be forced to participate in any religious workshop that may be conducted in this institution. Willingly, if you are ready to participate, there is no harm, but unwillingly you cannot be forced. No students can be forced to participate in any sort of religious workshop conducted in a school. Okay, or no student can be forced to participate in any of the religious activities or religious classes against their will. Okay, before that definitely you need to take the consent of the students and as well as the parents. However, we can understand right to religious freedom can be exercised subject to public order, morality and public health. It is just for maintaining public order, morality and public health. Okay, so it doesn't prohibit the introduction of social reform. If it is for social reform, then there is no problem at all. Okay, so definitely forcefully you cannot be imposed. Forcefully you cannot be imposed that a student is forced to go for a Bible class or a Holy Quran class or any of the religious class. He or she cannot be forced to attend it. If willingly, if they want to participate, then there is no problem at all. Okay, so forceful attendance is not allowed. Okay, so this is there in article number 28. So article number 25, freedom to profess and practice the religion of your choice. Article number 26, freedom to manage religious affairs. Article number 27, freedom from paying taxes for the promotion of any religion. Then article number 28, freedom to attend or abstain. We have been given the freedom or to abstain from religious functions, religious education in any educational institution. Freedom to attend or abstain. Okay. So I hope these things are clear. So now next one is cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational rights mentioned down in article number 29 and 30. So these rights are also known as minority rights. Okay, so what are these rights? Let us discuss about it. Now first one is right to maintain language, script and culture, which is mentioned in article number 29. So any section of the citizen having the distinct language, script or culture of its own has the right to maintain the same. So he or she has the right to maintain his culture, language, script or any of its script or language. Okay, what is mean by culture? Culture includes all the social customs, their food style, dance, language, okay, their dress, and many more things are included in the culture, and this has been given, the right has been given to each and every people of the country to preserve its culture. Okay, culture has to be preserved, which is mentioned in article number 29. Now, right to establish and administer educational institution. Right to establish and administer educational institution, which is mentioned in article number 30. So, like all minorities, now minorities, who all are minorities? The people who are less in number, like Muslims are in minority, Christians are in minority, Buddhists are in minority, Jains are in minority. Okay, who are in majority? Hindus are in majority. So all minorities, whether based on religion or language, minority can be based on religion or language. So they have the right to establish. Their own educational institution. They have the right to establish their own educational institution to impart their education. Okay, so these are the rights given under cultural and educational right. Culture can be preserved, okay, which is very, very important, and educational right has been given to the minorities, okay, so that they can administer their own educational institutions. Now, in the beginning, we discussed about right to property, which has been taken away from the list of fundamental rights. It is now a legal right. Right to property is now a legal right. It's mentioned under article number 300A. 300A. So it enjoys protection under law, but not under the constitutional law. Protection under law, but not under the constitutional law. So that is different. Now the last one is right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies. Okay, article number 32. So let me tell you one by one. So before that, let me give you the idea once again, whatever we have studied till now. So we discussed about in the previous class right to equality, then we discussed right to freedom, okay, then right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, then cultural and educational rights, and right to property, the right to constitutional remedies. So all these things, constitutional remedies we are going to discuss. Okay, so now let's start with the right to constitutional remedies, which is mentioned down in article number 32. So what is meant by constitutional remedies? So definitely if we are given the fundamental rights, then is there any one to protect our fundamental rights? Of course, the answer is yes. So our fundamental rights are protected by the Supreme Court by issuing number of writs. So what is mean by writs? Writs are certificate of order issued by the higher court to the lower courts in order to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens of the country. So number of writs are there, like writ of habeas corpus, then writ of mandamus, then writ of prohibition, writ of quo warranto, then the certiorari is there. These are the writs, these are the certificates of orders issued by the higher courts in order to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens. Like what is mean by writ of habeas corpus? So this writ provides remedy against wrongful detention. If a person is wrongfully detained, then definitely the court will direct them to produce the detainee in front of the court and prove and explain the ground on which he has been arrested. Okay, so if the ground of arrest has been explained in the court, the proper procedure will be followed. So according to the trial, if he is proven guilty, he will be punished. If he is freed, then if he is proven innocent, then he will be freed. So this can be done through the writ of habeas corpus. Okay, so like case can be reviewed and they can be passed an order, they can be granted bail also, and during the period of bail the case will continue, and in times of hearing, in times of court hearing, they have to be produced in front of the court, and this process will continue. Okay, but wrongfully a person cannot be kept in detention for a long period. Okay, the next one is writ of mandamus. What is mean by writ of mandamus? So by this writ, the court can order any inferior authority to do an act which falls within its jurisdiction. Certain jurisdiction are there. Within the jurisdiction, what is the duty of the inferior authority, that is reminded by the writ. You cannot work beyond your jurisdiction. Okay, that is to remind the inferior authority. The next one is writ of prohibition. So court can prohibit any inferior authority, okay, from doing any act which does not fall in its jurisdiction. Okay, if any of the inferior, suppose for example any of the lower courts, if any of the lower courts, if they are doing the work which is beyond their jurisdiction, then that will be prohibited by the higher courts. Okay, the next one is writ of quo warranto. So this writ can restrain a person from acting in public office to which he is not entitled. Okay, he can be restrained from doing a work which actually does not belong to him. Then the last one is scritoriary. By it, the court can order any inferior authority to transfer the matter to it or to some other authority for its necessary consideration and trial. From the lower courts, certain cases can be taken over by the High Court or Supreme Court, so that they can provide them in speedy justice. Okay, from inferior authority, the transfer of cases can be done, so that they can look into the matter and provide speedy justice and speedy trial. Okay, so each and every citizens can move to Supreme Court for getting his fundamental rights protected through any of these writs. And even High Court can also issue such writs for this purpose. Supreme Court and High Court both are the protector of fundamental rights. Suppose we live in different states, and in every state High Courts are there. So in order to get our rights protected, we can move to the High Court. And if not, then we can move to the Supreme Court even. Okay, so all these writs are issued in order to protect the fundamental rights of the citizens. So Constitution has given us the fundamental right, and the Supreme Court is the one who protects the fundamental rights given to the citizens of this country. So Supreme Court and the High Court, they are the one who protect the fundamental rights of the citizens. Whatever fundamental rights are enforced upon the people are protected by the Supreme Court and the High Court. Okay, so all this is all about the fundamental rights from article number 14 till article number 32. Okay, so this all are the rights which are very, very important for each and every citizens to know it. Okay, so let us now end this chapter over here, so that we can do the remaining portion in the next class. Okay, so the previous class we discussed the same chapter, and this today's class was the continuation of the previous class. So in both the parts, in both the tutorial, I have discussed about fundamental rights. So hope you all have understood it. So if you have not understood, so please go to the video again, so that your understanding will become more and more clear. Even after that, if you don't understand, then please don't hesitate to call me. Okay, my number is given in the description box. You can get it from there. Okay, So this much for today, children. So we'll meet again next class. So till then, take care, and please do the work given as your homework, and previous work also. Hopefully you have completed it. Okay. So take care. We'll meet again. Bye bye.